And here we are. This is the Steven Hour. We're back with another Batman 66 episode review. This is the episode Batman Sets the Pace, the part 2 to the Joker Trumps and Ace. So let's find out where we've left off the Cape Crusader in their diabolical new death trap. The episode here begins with a recap of the previous episode. The Joker is on a new crime spree. He's kidnapped the Maharajah and has now captured Batman and Robin and has put them in this unique death trap. Now, he says he would gladly let them go if they could remain afloat for at least an hour. But the problem is, they're not trying to float in water, they're floating in poisonous gas. As he points out, you could drown in it. The utility belts are pretty much rendered useless, and they can't use the bat rope. So how are they getting out? Then, of course, we get the opening credits, and we are back to where we left them off. Now, as it seems that Batman and Robin have probably drowned in the gas, and the Joker realizes that thinks he's won, he starts turning off the gas valve. But it turns out Batman and Robin are climbing up on the side of the wall by pressing themselves against each other's backs and locking their arms, which is actually a pretty unique way to actually get out of a death trap, and it's actually very plausible for them to do this. They of course manage to get out, and Joker finds out they didn't die in the death trap, and he and his boys immediately rush out of there to get away from them. Batman and Robin quickly get down, and they're long gone, but they realize they need to quickly get back on Joker's trail as he's now kidnapped the Maharajah. They then investigate the gas that was used at the golf course where the hole came from, but find out it's just not that knockout poison. It's just, well, not really, but they are confused as it's sort of, well, not really that harmful. They then manage to locate the source of the gas, where it leads them to essentially a joke shop, and realize it could be a front for the Joker. But Batman is still puzzled as they haven't heard from the Maharajah's government, even though they need to find them. They then decide to go to the joke shop in the guise of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson to do some investigating. While they're having a bit of fun and joking around at all the stuff there, Batman uses one of the devices on the stuff being sold to use to look through a one-way mirror. When he looks through, he sees the Joker's crew, the female accomplice, and the Maharajah essentially sitting down and waiting for the ransom. The thing is, and notices a hole at the back. Now we're confused, is the Maharajah in on the kidnap, or what's going on? Nothing's really fully explaining here. Like, there's a bit of things going on, or maybe the Maharaja isn't in on it, but it looks like he is. It's complicated. They eventually manage to find thanks to some detective work by looking through the plans of the building, they then find a good way to break in by going through the back way. Batman and Robin go at night, go down essentially the shaft, when they essentially jump in, surprising the Joker, his 4 guys, and of course the female accomplice. And essentially Batman says, "Joker, where's the Maharaja? Give up, you're all under arrest." Joker then tells his men to fight the dynamic duo and pulls a lever, essentially as an, anti-alert system to tell the Batman and Robin are in the building. Everything's going everywhere, and a classic bat fight breaks out. Realizing that the tide's turning against them, the Joker and his female accomplice quickly bolted out of there, while Batman and Robin quickly finish up the goons. Realizing that, they then start looking all over the place, but only find, I can't exactly explain what it is, but it is questionable, to say the least. They then call Commissioner Gordon, telling that they're at the Joker's hideout. They rounded up 4 of his boys, but the Joker's escaped and no doubt still has the Maharaja. They can't find him. Then Chief O'Hara comes in, saying the Joker's on the private line. And as they call, the Joker says that he's got the Maharaja in his power. Of course, they let the Maharaja speak on the phone to prove that he does. And the ransom is, he asked for some money, of course, that's his ransom. But here's the catch. He wants Batman to sign the check and endorse the check. Otherwise, no Maharaja. Even though Batman, doesn't want to do it. But he realizes that the Maharaja's safety comes first above everything else. And says to Joker's, "You win." Hangs up the phone. But before that, he tells Joker to send the Maharaja to, the bank where it will happen. So essentially, it's a humiliating, as Batman has to endorse a check for the release of the Maharaja. Now, we cut to a scene at the bank where the guy who was at the previous episode buying with his wife, a new fur coat is there. They, set up the money to be paid off. And the Maharaja comes in along with 2 of his guards, where he, writes out the check to Batman, check, and the whole humiliating thing, because Batman has to endorse a check for a criminal ransom, which is, humiliating for him. And just as this is happening, Batman then says, well, why do you still have to pay it since the Joker's let you go? But the Maharaja simply says, well, the Joker is an honorable bandit, we've made a bargain. He's kept his side, he needs to keep his side. But just as Batman is distracting him by essentially talking, he then pokes some kind of stick through the Maharaja's essentially back. I think it's a back, I think it's a back anyway. But surprisingly, he's not feeling it. Then he runs it quicker, where he does feel it. The Maharaja says, basically screams, and tells his boys to quickly get out of here. Batman and Robin end up fighting them, even though Chief O'Hara is trying to break it up, telling Batman what is he doing, but Chief O'Hara gets punched in the face, which it gives me a little chuckle. The Maharaja's goons are knocked out, and so is the Maharaja, but all this stuffing is everywhere. They then take off they then reveal that the Maharaja was wearing a mask. And it's not the Maharaja, it is the Joker. That's right, the Maharaja has been the Joker all this time. Like Batman says, we've never seen the two together, and as a key to his twisted mind, he never means what he seems to me. Plus, it is a good joke on his... Plus, it's a caper that fits the Joker's, personality, having Batman to endorse a ransom check for $500,000. Plus, there was also another thing that also made it suspicious. Not only has Batman and Robin never seen the Joker and the Maharaja in the same place, but they realized they've never heard a protest from the Maharaja's government. They called up the Palace of Nimpa, and it's revealed that the Maharaja is actually on a hunting trip in the Nepal Mountains. Joker is defeated, and Cesar Romero does a witty line, like, me gas, I'm deflated. Batman does his usual line, and then of course calls Chief O'Hara to call his boys to to take the Joker away. After that, we then cut to Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson at Wayne Manor, where they are talking with Aunt Harriet about the Maharaja, and they're quickly sent to the Bat Phone, where Commissioner Gordon has heard a disturbing rumor that he's been asked to run for governor. But Batman says, no, they're not, it's only a rumor, that no way that will ever happen. He hangs up, and Robin says, a holy something line, and it's just a little funny gag. The episode ends there, and next week, Batman and Robin will tangle with a new villain, King Tut. Everything's just normal here. Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon are the bumbling policemen ever. I think this is really where the episode of that nature, with them being bumbling police chiefs, really took form in this episode. And Harriet, the little screen time she had at the end was heartwarming as ever, and Alfred as well. And I also like how Batman is showing here how he has to endorse a check, which is scored against his a bit of pride, against his pride. He doesn't agree with it. Probably because if he does, it could reveal that he's Bruce Wayne. After all, how will Batman get this money? Probably why. And yeah. Cesar Romero in this role is truly astounding. He really, for me, brought the Joker character to life. And the plot here is just in his whirlwind. The Joker always was a person who did whatever plot he wanted for his own amusement. And this would have been definitely up his alley. Making Batman pay for a ransom to humiliate him is really there. And the fact that, that he just did it, start like with the caper starting off from him stealing minor sensical stuff and did this is absolutely out there. Now, and for me, like, by the end of this, I think Cesar Romero fully became the show's Joker by the end of his run, by the end of this season, and he continued with that energy and, enthusiasm for the role throughout the rest of the show's run. I also like the just the like how like with like his not just his mannerisms, not just the performance, but I like the moment when Batman cornered him in his hideout and he not doesn't find it funny. That fits Joker's personality. And even though this is a light-hearted take, Cesar Romero fully embraces the role, embraces the insanity. Another thing I also like about this episode is the Maharaja character. He is essentially this overweight royalty guy, and the guy that plays him just plays it so well. And that's all I can say. The guy is the Maharaja is, for me, as a very minor supporting character, and turns out was never really an actual character, you know, because it was actually a disguise, but I felt that this was just so there. That the actor just really embodied the role and was so great. Batman Sets the Pace is a really good concluding episode. Now, you could point out a plot hole if, you know, when they said, you know, how they found out the Joker is the Maharaja, because, you know, you always, you know, how you never seen the two of them together. Well, from their point of view, yes, but the audience, we did see the Joker overlooking the Maharaja. So we actually did get to see two together. But you could point out it was probably just one of the hoods dressed up as the Maharaja, which would have made sense. Okay. The plot here also got to find is perhaps fits the Joker's alley, you know, with this, it's essentially one big joke to not just Batman, but law enforcement, to Gotham, the bank, you know, the Gotham City Bank. It just fits his alley. Now, the female accomplice just disappeared at the end of the episode, I will admit, and I wondered where the hell she is, but to be honest, I never really cared about her character to begin with. And if I could only really have one gripe, I really wish that they could have had Falseface impersonate the Maharaja. For me, it just would have made a bit of sense because of the Master of Disguise. There's certain episodes in the series I felt was just a missed opportunity to not have Falseface work with the villains. And for me, this would have worked too. It worked too to have him in this episode, but other than that, it is fine where it stands. And there we have it, Batman Sets the Pace, a nice concluding episode to Batman 66, the 66th episode. And join us next time where we review the first debut of King Tut. So tune in for that, and until next time, tune in for the same Steven time, same Steven hour, and the same Steven channel. So long for now.